Hi everyone, great to be here. So yes, I'm going to talk about a little bit about, I'm not talking about talking. It's a little bit of a mid-talk presentation. I'll start by saying this, I love conferences. I love all the conferences. I think it's a great opportunity to meet some people, to network with people. It's a great place to learn. I love learning in general, which is why I'm interested in Marino's session later on today about learning. So going to conferences is a great thing. It's been great for my career. But most importantly, I love to speak at events. Ever since I started that a couple of years ago, I think it's like a very addictive thing to do. And I've done 182.5 about 183 talks in person, 78 cities around the globe, 15 countries. It's such a great opportunity, and I feel blessed that I can do all of those things and actually get paid to do what I'm really passionate about, which is speaking at events. And it also provided me with some amazing opportunity. I was able to do some crazy things. I went to swim naked in the Baltic Sea, which was very interesting in November. I ate at some world-renowned restaurants around the world. I fly about 150,000 kilometers a year. I mean, all of that is amazing. Hopefully, I'll be able to add that. I saw blooming sakuras in Japan by the end of this week. And all of that is in exchange for like 20 minutes of my time, right? I just need to come here, do my talk, and then I can leave and do all the fun stuff. So there's a little bit more to just delivering your talk. There's a lot more things that we can do when we go to conferences, and this is what I want to talk about. So being a better speaker, there's a lot of different ways where we can do that. We can be a better speaker for our employer, so we'll see how we can bring more value out of going to those conferences, how we can add value to the conference organizers, as well as being a good attendee and how we can add values to the attendees in general, and of course for yourself. So the first thing is bringing value back to your employer. Sending someone to a conference is not cheap. They need to pay for the travel and accommodation, and there's also your time, so you're not working full time when you're at a conference. Of course, we're kind of working, we're networking, but it costs a lot of money to send people, so we want to make sure that we can bring as much back to our employer as we can, and that's very important. So the first thing that we started doing at MongoDB is to try to figure out what are our objectives. What do we want to get out of going to one of those conferences? There's a lot of different things that we can do. We put a lot of thought into that. Like if you want to increase brand awareness, for example, you might want to target those very larger events or those single track events where you'll reach a bunch of people that were not necessarily interested in this talk, but they're stuck here, so that's great. If you want to increase registrations, that's another different target. You might want to look a little bit more into building workshops. Or if you want to do more partnerships or work with other people, produce some joint content, then you might want to have a different approach at going to those events. This is a very good opportunity for that. I could talk a little bit more about that. Kim is giving a talk a little bit later today, specifically on that topic, and I'm linking to her article, so I'm so excited to see her talk about all of that, and I'll just remove some time from my presentation, so that's great. So the way that we decide on which event we want to attend to is that we use this matrix that I produce. I love doing nice little graphs. I'm a very visual person. And there's a bunch of criteria in there. You might not be able to read all of them, but there's like, well, is the event a sponsored event? Are we already a sponsor? If so, then we're gonna go. It makes sense. Have we been there in the past? And did we have a good experience? Did we produce some documentation that showed that this was a very good event? So all of those will lead to a yes or a no. And if we get to a yes, then there's another scorecard that we need to use, and we'll put in different numbers. So I put in a bunch of different criteria that we use, things like language communities. At MongoDB, we've got 12 different drivers, but we want to put sort of our focus on some of the drivers more than others. Node.js, you probably might expect that from MongoDB is one of our key communities. We want to be very present there. But Python is also a community that we want to be more present in, so we're trying to prioritize that as well. So putting one of those language communities will score a little bit higher, and it helps our team to decide what they should submit at those events when they want to fill in those CFPs. Other of those criteria, as I do realize it's a bit small, the content delivered, so whether it's a workshop or a session, the number of attendees. We don't put that much emphasis on that, so we'd rather have smaller reach, but have a more positive experience. The topics as well, we meet with the product management once every quarter, and we decide what are the different areas of our product that we really want to push forward. So if we submit content that is related to those topics, then it'll rank higher as well. There's also a possible collateral event, which is a really interesting thing that we've come up with. We also always try to find different activities that we can do when we get to an event. So rather than just going there, going to the event, and then leaving and going back home, there's a bunch of different things that you can do while you're there. Maybe you've got customers in town and they're struggling with the adoption of the product, or you know that there's just one small group that uses the product, and you could deliver a workshop to kind of expand the awareness of the product, or give the tooling for other tools to be able to use it. One of the things that I really like to do is going wherever we have community champions. So we've got a community champions program in place, and whenever there's one in the town, I'll always reach out to them, take them out for a nice dinner, and it's a great occasion to be in touch with them, get some great feedback about the product, but also to really make them feel valued and give them an importance and feel them valued as part of the community. And also, if there's local meetups, that's also a great way to make the most out of your experience. Actually, there's two that are happening this week, which I've just learned to, so I'm going to attend this one Sunday, I believe, which is set up by Tessa over there and Diana. So if you want to join us, that'll be great. There's also another one by Taichi, which is the Datadog the developer night, which will be happening on Tuesday. So those are all kind of activities that you can do while you're spending some time at an event, so you can maximize your time and meet other developers. Of course, bringing value, be the voice of your employer. I'm not going to spend that much time in here. June already talked a little bit about it. We are the face of our developer. We want to make sure that we build relationships with the developers that are genuine and authentic. I think that's the most important part. We're not here to sell, but we're here to build relationships, as we are the voice of our employer. Also, we want to be there to promote the employer brand. But then again, there's a talk about it by our shield in just a couple of minutes. Finally, report back. That's the most important thing. Share your experience with the team. Once you're done with the conference, make sure you write a trip report. That's the first step, so that you can share your experience with the team. Talk about different things. Who did you meet? Was there any possible partnership that you can get out of it? Was there any interesting talks that you've attended? Maybe there's trends that you can see. Maybe that'll give you and your teammates some content ideas. And was the competition present? Was there talks by the competition? Maybe they highlighted a new feature. So those are all good things that you can bring back to your team. At MongoDB, again, we use this template. One of the things that we measure is the clicks on the CTA page. So at the end of the talk, you'll see I have a QR code, and I measure how many people click on that QR code, and I report back on that. So you do me a solid if you would follow that link afterwards. I can share the full trip report if you're interested. I won't share it publicly, but feel free to reach out with me. I'll be more than happy to share with you individually afterwards. Once again, on that link at the end, you'll have my contact info. Next up, helping out the conference organizers. I've been on that side of things. Running a conference is hard, takes a lot of effort, so try to help the organizers as much as you can. As an example, don't wait 2 minutes before your talk to ask Taichi for this link on SpringYard. He doesn't like that. Before the event, there's a number of things that you can do. Make sure that you listen for communications. They always send different things. There's always actions that you need to take on the emails that they will send. They want confirmation for a speaker dinner. Make sure that you actually respond to those. There's nothing more stressful for an organizer not to know if your speakers are actually going to make it to the event. Book your tickets if needed. If they ask you for an A/B testing, please do it. Even if you've done hundreds of talks, it's not for you, it's for the organizers to ensure that everything is working. So please do those. Be present on social media whenever you can. Must admit, I'm really bad at that one with the current social media landscape, but eventually we'll see. Also, do your preparation. Don't work on your slides the morning of. Like, nobody does that, right? check the schedule. Make sure that if there's similar talks that are happening, make sure you reach out to the speaker so that maybe you can make sure that you don't have too much overlap between your talks. There's so much some things that you can do there. Make sure that you know the time format. I don't know how many times I've seen a speaker come in for a 20-minute talk with 45-minute worth of content. And join the Slack and Discord channel if there are some available. During the event, there's a number of things that you can do as well. Offer your help to the organizers. A lot of the time, some speakers won't be able to make it, so offer to do another talk. If you have a talk ready, why not? Hey, you're already there. And be present. I think that's very important. As speakers, we're used to go to conferences a lot more than a lot of the people that are there. So a lot of the conference attendees are there for the first time. They're not sure what to do. So it's our job to be more present. Participate in talks. Raise your hands when the speaker asks. Like, has anybody ever had a speaker that asked them to raise their hands? Yes, thank you. Get out of the speaker room if there's one. It's good for preparation, but don't spend the whole conference there. Hang out with the attendees. When you know people, try to introduce them to each other so that you create this more welcoming environment, and that will make for a better experience for all of the attendees, the conference organizers, and everybody will get more out of it. Of course, attend socials. That's a bit controversial. Not everybody wants to attend them. I think it's great to do an active presence at least. Respect the code of conduct though, and try not to get too hangover. But in general, just be respectful, be there on time, come in prepared, and just be professional. And once the conference is done, make sure that you do your follow-up. So you'll have met a bunch of people, you'll make some new contacts, you'll make a bunch of, meet some new people, and follow back with them. Send them an email, say, hey, it was nice meeting you. And if there is an option for maybe doing some joint content, that's a great opportunity for you to do that. Be sure you thank the organizers for organizing this great event as well. And a lot of people write up about their experience at an event. That's a good promotion for the event as well. I must say that. Not really good with that one. And overall, be a good attendee and conference citizen. That's a very important part, and we have a big role that we can play there. As people who are used to go to conferences and attending those, again, not everybody is. So we can really show an example on how to be a good conference citizen there. So attend other talks when you can. Sit at the front row. Nobody ever wants to sit at the front, so why don't you do it? I'm a little bit disappointed that I'm the only one sitting at the front row today. Mingle with others, spend some time with the attendees. Sure, it's nice to meet all of our friends at conferences, our conference buddies all the time, but it's also important to try to mingle with the attendees, and that's also part of bringing value back to our employer. And make sure you help to create a safe and inclusive environment. That is very, very important, and Diana will touch on that later on today. Of course, use the Pac-Man rule. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the Pac-Man rule. I think I have the video there. So if you're not familiar with it, it's just a way to be more inclusive when you're speaking in a group. So rather than being a tight, close-knit group, always make sure that you leave one empty spot so that if somebody wants to join the conversation, he can just join in and then just move a little bit away. So if you're ever in a circle with me speaking and you see me going away, it has nothing to do with you. I'm just trying to create that empty spot. Also, when you see somebody who seems kind of lost, doesn't know what to do, just try to make eye contact and invite him to that empty spot. It'll create that more inclusive environment. And of course, you've got to take care of the most important person at the event, and that is you. So make sure that you respect your limits. That is one thing that I've learned over time. My first couple of years, I was not very good with that. If you want to go out, of course, do so. Like I said, it's nice to go and attend to those social events. You'll get to meet some people. But if you're an introvert like me, make sure that you book some me time. Make sure that you have some time in your schedule to recharge your introvert batteries, and that'll make your life a lot easier. And overall, your experience as a conference speaker will be much better. Think healthy. That's an obvious one, but it's so hard to do. We get invited to those nice speaker dinners and all the things, and we don't necessarily eat very healthy. So make sure that you still try to plan to eat well whenever you can. Try to keep your exercise routine if you can, and get some good sleep. Again, those are kind of obvious, but it's nice to have a refresher from time to time. Also, during breaks, try to go grab a breath of fresh air. That really makes a big difference as well. It kind of oxygenates your brain a little bit and keeps you awake throughout the day. And most of all, have fun. If you're going to go there as a speaker, make sure that you do it for the right reasons. There's so many things that we can do in DevRel. There's so many different things. So if you don't feel like you have to speak at those events, you could probably do other things that would make you more comfortable. So make sure that you do it for the right reason. Enjoy your time. And a nice thing that I've started to do a little bit is to try to spend an extra day in town. I mean, if you're already there, why not spend the extra day? A lot of employers will let you cover for that additional night. Or, find a meetup in 2 days so you can kind of get the meetup in the middle, or an extra night in the middle. So quick recap. Make sure that you bring value back to your employer. Figure out what are your objectives, what you want to get out of that conference before you get there. That'll help you to focus on which events to go to and what content to submit. And make sure that you bring value back afterwards, that you report back to your team and share that information with your team. Healthy conference organizers whenever you can. Don't go over time, that's another one. So I'll skip that one. Create a better attendee experience. Be present whenever you're at an event. I think we are ambassadors for whatever event that we're speaking at. So it's very important to be there and try to make sure that we create this more inclusive experience for all of the attendees. So be a good conference citizen, and most and foremost, make sure that you remember to take care of yourself whenever you can. So thank you very much for your time. Don't forget to check out that